Hey everybody, and welcome back, or welcome for the first time to Rise and Grind. Appreciate you for being here. It's Coffee Traveler with 5 articles, and number 1, more science. I love science. This one's actually personal to my heart, near and dear. Proof of concept for cell culture based coffee. What? We're going to grow in a lab some coffee, some lab grown coffee, the most bullshit expensive coffee of all time. Oh boy. Sounds awesome. Abstract for this particular article from ACS Publications. The global coffee production is facing serious challenges, including land use, climate change, and sustainability while demand is rising. Cellular agriculture is a promising alternative to produce plant-based commodities such as coffee. Okay. For example, like in Japan, they actually grow lettuce indoors in giant like warehouses and things of that nature. So interesting. Which are conventionally produced by farming. In this study, the complex process of drying and roasting was adapted for bioreactor-grown coffee cells to generate a coffee-like aroma and flavor. The brews resulting from different roasting regimes were characterized with chemical and sensory evaluation-based approaches and compared to conventional coffee. Roasting clearly influenced the aroma profile. In contrast to conventional coffee, the dominant odor and flavor attributes were burned, sugar-like, and smoky, but less roasted. The intensities of bitterness and sourness were similar to those of conventional coffee. The present results demonstrate a proof of concept for a cellular agriculture approach as an alternative coffee production platform and guide future optimization work. That's right, remember. That's right. So this article is incredibly long, but it is making a product that looks and smells like coffee but isn't coffee. I thought I'd bring this to everyone's attention. It's more from like my own personal read. I won't make y'all sit through it, but interesting that we're going to be lab growing everything because we're working on lab growing meat. We grow indoors a lot of in Japan. They have grown indoors in skyscrapers a lot of produce because they don't have any land. So how do you make more land? Well, you make skyscrapers, and then in those skyscrapers you create produce. So interesting to think about that we can have such technology to produce products that like exist on a cellular level but aren't actually coffee, but the brain goes, that's coffee. Article number 2. This is the thing that I've been ranting about for a while, and I don't know if this is just taking my own bias into account or other things, but I don't super love The Guardian, but greedflation, corporate profiteering significantly boosted global prices, studies show. Yeah, no shit. Like, the biggest problem to inflation is not paying people more money. It's hoarding of wealth. And that's it. Just everyone's hoarding way too much. Just share. Like we tell kids, do you have a sharing amount? Well, maybe you should share. So shocking. Water's wet. Let's find out more. Profiteering has played a significant role in boosting inflation during 2022, according to the report that calls for global corporation tax to curb excess profits. Yeah. Analysis of the financial accounts of many of the UK's biggest businesses found that profits far outpaced increases in costs, helping to push up inflation last year to levels not seen since 1980. Yeah. My parents say like, oh, you didn't see it. You don't know what inflation is. Like, think about buying a house in the 80s or whatever. And I was like, yeah, you didn't know what stagnation in wages was for my whole lifetime. So get on our level. I want to argue that they had it hard through the 80s. It was not that hard through the 80s because they didn't have like wage stagnation since before my lifetime. So we have inflation and wage stagnation and like everything being too expensive. A report from the IPPR and Commonwealth think tanks found that business profits rose by 30% among UK-listed firms, driven by just 11% of firms that made super profits based on their ability to push through stellar increased prices, often dubbed greedflation. Yeah. We can just call it what it is. That's just inflation. That's just inflating the price for no reason. And the reason is, and it's not no reason, actually, the reason is so we can make shareholders more money. Recently, Panera's CEO came out and said, like, no, you're never going to motivate, or maybe it's ex-CEO, you're never going to motivate people by saying, like, let's make more money for our shareholders. Yeah, no shit. It's like saying things like, how do we hire more people? How do we get more people in the door? How do we, like, retain our employees? And it's like, pay them more money. The biggest thing in our lifetime that we've seen on this tangent that I'm on right now is that that people do not want to be retained, that the way that people like get raises and other things, and there's no loyalty to like people, they just leave the company and go to another company and interview up to a higher job, and then interview up to a higher job, and then interview up to a higher job. Why stay at a place? I was at a place for like 4 years, and we did like every 6 months there was a review, and I'd always get a good review, and I'd be like, how much more money am I making? And they would keep telling me, you should be happy you have a job. And I'm like, I am, but I'm also losing out on inflation, and you're actually giving me no increase in like where's my cost of living adjustment? And they're like, you should be happy you have a job. For 4 years, and what I did was just leave. I just left. I found a different job. It's hard to find a different job, that's for fuck sure. So like, you can't always just be like, oh, just leave. But anyways, let's go back. The surge in profits happened as wage increases largely failed to keep pace with inflation. The workers suffered their largest fall in disposable income since the Second World War. Wow, that's an insane statement. I've said things like, oh, from 1990 to like 2020, like we saw a huge inflation across like 30 years, right? And then from 2020 to now, we've seen the same amount of inflation. It feels just so bad to go buy things. Why does people not like to celebrate Christmas? Because they can't afford anything. God, why is my nose just like going? Something's getting me. Because energy and food prices feed so significantly into costs across all sectors of the wider economy, this exacerbated the initial price shock, contributed to inflation peaking higher and lasting longer than there had been before due to losing market power. Yeah, no shit. Going outside costs like $80, says Rumbor. Yeah. Vimka, I'm grateful my job does pretty good cost of living adjustments. Yeah, you have to have cost of living adjustments. Otherwise, your employees are losing money every year. If you just stay at the same wage every year, you're literally losing money by like 3% at bare minimum. Anyways, this article goes on and on and on, but they show the profits of ExxonMobil, Shell, Glencore, Heinz. And there's been so much squeeze on everybody, and especially in our lifetimes. Oh, like make shareholders richer. Why do shareholders need richer? Anyone who owns a share of a company has money. We don't need to make shareholders richer. Let's make our stock value go up. Ooh, first time chatter, Don Leishko. Thank you for being here. As long as I'm earning enough for what I need, I'd rather be happy in a job than be unhappy in a higher paid job. That's fucking true as shit. What is the right amount and what is enough? And it's like, so long as I can pay some bills and plan for a kind of retirement, maybe at some point, that's enough for me. I hear that. Epic Fingerprints, all shareholders are taking a risk owning those shares. I'd rather not take a risk. I'd rather not be taking a risk taking a job. Yeah, you'll have that. From private Christian company and technically took a step down from my current job at government nonprofit. Still got like 20,000 raise in cost of living. Yeah, exactly. These are all the things. And always like interview up. The best time to find a job is when you have a job, right? No joke. So always interview up. Don't be afraid to like go to like a new company or other things and just go get what you deserve and get yours, right? It's interesting. Like greedflation. All right. We can rant more. You know me. I love ranting. In my perfect world, we make people like retire when they have like 10 million. Like, get out of here. Get out of the system. Maybe even over 5 million. Like, you have enough. Like, what else do you need? You're good. You're good for a lifetime. Like, definitely 10 million is a lifetime worth of money. Like, you're good. Let's go to the next article. We talk about health and other things. Like, just move aside for like other people, right? This is part of inflation, why it's a problem. Anyone with over 10 million is causing like inflation because they're hoarding more than they possibly need. We're in a post-scarcity society. I say this all the time. We just have a sharing problem. We have a sharing problem. Anyways, next article. It's from Eureka Alert. I don't know this source, but this seemed like an interesting article. And we always talk about what you can do for your best self and how to make future you proud of now you. Well, one of the things that you can do is probably stop smoking, because the title is called Smoking Causes Brain Shrinkage. Oh my God, that's terrifying. I don't want my brain to shrink. Findings help explain how smoking is linked to Alzheimer's and dementia. Peer-reviewed publication, Washington University School of Medicine. Thank you, UW. Appreciate that. Smoking shrinks the brain according to a study by researchers at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis. The good news is that quitting smoking prevents further loss of brain tissue, but still stopping smoking doesn't restore brain to its original size. Yeah, once you like do damage to your brain, permanent. It's permanent. This is why get tested for sleep apnea, don't smoke, don't trash your brain with alcohol. Like, that's permanent damage you're never getting back. And it's really harsh for like your whole future. Your whole future. I'm not shrinking my brain, I'm just leveling the playing field. I say spend it while you're able. Saving money for when you're old can backfire, your health deteriorates. Yeah, Don Leishko, my mother has this problem in that she like didn't get cancer screening and is now like facing stage 4 cancer for the second time at age under 70. So like, don't constantly save. I always told them this as well too. They're like, oh, we're going to give you so much money. It's like, I don't care. I don't want it. Spend it on yourself. She did spend it on like a $10,000 painting she always wanted. So good on her for that. Praised on that. She's like, oh, I love this painting. And I was like, cool, I'm glad. Yeah, there is like a balance though. Like, go get experiences and don't like hoard stuff, right? Like, for me right now, what I'm doing to spend on it, I'm trying to be a streamer. That's what I want to do with my life. That's how I am spending. I'm sitting in a financial position where I can do this. Anyways, back to the article and brain shrinkage and smoking. Like, yeah, this is like part of like things that you just don't know that are happening. And now they've done studies and these other things. Since people's brains naturally lose volume with age, smoking effectively causes the brain to age prematurely. Ooh, interesting. The findings published by Biological Psychiatry Global Open Science help explain why smokers are at high risk of age-related cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. Interesting. They say up until recently, scientists have overlooked the effects of smoking on the brain, in part because we were focused on all the terrible effects smoking to lungs and the heart and the rest of the pulmonary system. But as we started looking at the brain more closely, it became apparent smoking is also really bad for your brain. Okay. Scientists have long known that smoking and smaller brain volume are linked, but they've never been sure which is the instigator. There's a third factor to consider, which is also genetics. Both brain size and smoking behavior are heritable. Interesting. So like the nature versus nurture argument of like what is like naturally inherent, what is naturally occurring, and then like what do we nurture on top of that. About half of the person's smoking risk can be attributed to his or her genes. Whoa, that's crazy. That is the 50-50 of nature and nurture though. Vex, welcome back. Vex says, I only put luggage on another flight. I go back to the airport to pick it up today. Oh my God, that's so terrible. I'm so sorry that happened. We're doing Subnautica later tonight then. If Vex is here, Subnautica time, baby. We played original Subnautica. Vex found us through that. Vex gave me second Subnautica, so we're playing that at the end of the stream tonight. To disentangle the relationship between genes, brains, behavior, and Bellroot and first author Yoon Chang, a graduate student, analyzed data drawn from the UK Biobank, a publicly available biomedical database that contains genetic health and behavioral information about 500,000 people, mostly of European descent. A subset of over 40,000 biobank participants underwent brain imaging. That's a large amount of people, 40,000, wow, which can be used to determine brain volume. In total, the team analyzed de-identified data on brain volume, smoking history, and genetic risk for smoking for 32,000 people. Wow, okay, so one of the things is when you read these articles and they come down here and they're like, we looked at like 500 people, like, look at this thing we found. And it's like, that's not very interesting, but 32,000. Okay. Yeah. What kind of moking is good for you? Definitely not smoking. Are there other kinds of moking that are good for you? Each pair of factors provided linked history of smoking and brain volume, genetic risk for smoking, and history of smoking and genetic risk for smoking and brain volume. Further, the association between smoking and brain volume depended on dose. The more packs a person smoked a day, the smaller his or her brain volume would be. Okay. So casual smokers of like a cigarette a week, way less. A pack a day, way more. There's more to this article, but wow, that's incredibly enlightening, and an argument to like be made for, like, because all smokers know that like it hurts their lungs, but like it's impacting your future cognitive abilities and prematurely aging your brain. Now, how much it's doing to your brain, who knows, but it's not zero, that's for sure. Because some people will say, oh, it's not that bad, oh, it doesn't affect me, da da da. Also, if you like it, and we all have vices, like, sure, go do it. Just understand your risks when doing it, right? Like sitting here all day at the computer is probably incredibly bad for me, and like akin to like smoking. That's why I get up every hour and we do the ad break and like all this other shit. So let's go to the next article. Speaking of brains, we have 2 brain articles. Ignorance is bliss. Yeah. Epic finger paints. Just take the blue pill, right? You want to feel old? That movie's 25 years old next year. Matrix, what a great movie. Speaking of brains, soccer heading linked to measurable decline in brain structure and function over 2 years. We always knew soccer heading so bad because your head is basically a helmet for this like mush, and when you head the ball, like, ooh, not good. A new study of Columbia University Irving Medical Center links soccer heading, where players hit the ball with their heads directed during play, to a decline in brain structure and function over a 2-year period. The research is being presented for the first time in the annual meeting of RSNA in Chicago this week. While previous research has examined adverse effects on the brain related to soccer heading at a single point in time, a new finding are the first to show brain changes over 2 years. Excuse me. There's enormous concern worldwide for brain injury in general, and the potential of soccer heading to cause long-term brain damage in particular. Well, this is why, like in football, they wear big chunky helmets and they don't do like helmet-to-helmet contact even anymore. Ramming your head into things, super bad. Exactly, Apollonic. Nothing is good for your lungs except air, except for we made the air poison. Whoops. Study design. The study included 150 young amateur players with a mean age of 27. Participants were assessed for verbal learning and memory and underwent magnetic resonance imaging at the time of enrollment and again 2 years later. All right, this is a very small study, but this is a sample of what could be. I don't think we need to read a lot more on this. Heading bad for you. There is more to it. I'll link it in the YouTube description below. Or if you wanted to read more, I have linked it in the Twitch chat. So take a look. MRIs of brains are really interesting. I got to sit in, as part of the twin study I'm a part of, I got to sit in an MRI machine for 4 hours, and they scanned my brain and gave me a copy of it. It was like a 3-TeV machine. It was like super interesting, incredibly boring. Like when you're sitting there answering the questions, it's so boring, but it's cool to be part of science, and being part of a longitudinal twin study is absolutely incredible. So, this is something we may already know, but this is near and dear to my heart. I have ADHD and I am medicated for it. This is part of neuroscience.jneurosci.org. Amphetamines improve the motivation to invest effort in attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. In my mind, this article may be about, like, how I call it, you have task dysphoria. Like, hey, just pick up the thing off the floor. Just do it. Just pick up the thing. Pick up those socks that have been sitting there for 2 weeks. And my brain goes, we're going to do anything else. We'll see what this says. We'll read the abstract and talk about it a little bit. Yeah, Apollonic, this is why I don't like MMA. I don't like football. Another reason not to like soccer. Because, like, hitting heads is, like, butting heads not good. Violence not good. Boxing bad, turns out. Punching someone in their head till they're knocked out. There's a little known sport, like a little known sport where it's just like they slap each other. It's called slap fighting. It's so stupid. And they just slap each other in the face until the other one gets knocked down. And it's just like, no. So I'm not a big fan of violence. Can we, like, treat people nicely in these other things? Who said football is just smart? Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Those slap fight videos are... helmeted aliens. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, back to the article. This is the amphetamines and ADHD being good. Prevailing frameworks propose that a key feature of attention deficit disorder is lower motivation. An important component to motivation is the willingness to engage in cognitively or physically effortful behavior. However, the degree to which effort sensitivity is impaired in ADHD has rarely been tested, and the efficacy of stimulant medication in the ameliorating any such impairments is unclear. Here we tested 20 individuals, so small because this is the abstract, maybe they tested more, who were managed with amphetamine-based medications, and 24 controls. Cool. Individuals with ADHD were tested over 2 counterbalance sessions on and off their usual medication. In each session, participants performed a effort-based decision-making task in which they were required to choose how much cognitive or physical effort they were willing to engage in return for a reward. Our results revealed 3 main findings. First, individuals with ADHD had lower motivation relative to controls to invest effort in both the cognitive and physical domains. Second, amphetamine increased motivation uniformly across both domains. That's an incredible, like, physical and cognitive. Speed up the brain for them. Brain goes. Awesome. Finally, the net effect of amphetamine treatment was to mostly restore motivation across both domains of effort relative to healthy controls. These data. Wait, what? These data provide. Oh, this. Okay, they have a typo here. This data provides clear evidence for a heightened sensitivity to both cognitive and effortful and physical effort in ADHD, and reveal the efficacy of amphetamine-based drugs in restoring effort sensitivity to levels similar to their controls, to their, like, control counterparts. These findings confirm the existence of reduced motivational drive in ADHD and more broadly provide direct causal evidence for a domain general role of, oh God, what is that word? Jesus Christ, I'll put it in chat. This, like, what is this word? Yeah, only 20 is, like, awfully low. I'll be looking for a bit. I'm unpacking, doing laundry. Gotta make yourself lunch. Yeah, for sure, Vex. Absolutely. Nick got a streak going. Love it. Catecholamines? Catecholamines? Okay, sure. Never seen that word before, but we're learning. Like, let's click the define here, because when I right click on it, I can have, it actually says translate to English. But in Edge, in the new Edge browser in Windows 11, because I'm a Microsoft shill, any class of aromatic, which includes a number of neurotransmitters such as adrenaline and dopamine. Oh, interesting. So the significance of this is that they found that it works on both levels. It works on a cognitive level, and it works on, and this is the abstract. They have an introduction and they have a huge long paper, and I'm going to go read that offline to myself. I'm not going to make you all sit here and read it with me, but they have an introduction, methods and materials, participants, what is this, results, and they have a whole bunch of data here that we do not need to read on stream. But yeah, discussion, footnotes, references, figures and data, info, metrics, and everything else. This is we love to read published articles, and we'll see like where it goes from here though. But yeah, people with neurodivergent brains have and it's like, oh, when you get on Adderall, you're gonna be like a perfect human being. Help me get there with my reading goals. Yeah, there you go. At some point I need to do a reading stream where we read like Flowers for Algernon and do raise money for literacy. I'm not good at reading due to having dyslexia and other things. It's a problem, but we work on it. But yeah, this is interesting to know that it just returns you to normal levels or healthy levels, whatever like word we want to use. It just returns you to the levels of like non-neurodivergent people. So it's like, oh, when you take Adderall, you're going to be a superhuman. No, when I take Adderall, I can like brush my teeth, clean the kitchen, start some laundry, and just go about my day like anyone else would. That's what it does for me. And that's what it does for others, to return people to, quote, healthy levels. With that said, I'm almost out of coffee, but I'm definitely out of articles, and I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Thank you for the people in Twitch chat keeping me company while we're reading these, and thank you so much on YouTube. If you are seeing this, go ahead and press the subscribe button or click the articles below if you need to read some more. But that's been Rise and Grind, and we will see you next time.